Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Kyla Valentin at New York Times. Today I have a very special video planned for you. I am welcoming the author of the new short story, Flowers, Alice Walker. We are going to be doing an interview with her, talking about her new short story, and I'm very excited, and I hope you guys are too. So without further ado, please help me welcome Alice Walker. Hello, Alice. I will let you
hello.
be in the video here. All right, let's get to it. Hello, Alice. Thank you for joining us today for this exclusive interview talking about your newest release, The Flowers. On behalf of my team, we'd like to thank you for coming down and sharing insight to the deeper meanings and layers of this short story. We look forward to working with you.
Of course, I am so grateful to be able to have this opportunity. I'm so ready to talk about my new story, and I feel like it really has a message behind it, and I'm ready to share it.
All right, to begin, could you maybe give a brief introduction and overview to the story and maybe the plot line, introducing some characters?
Of course. So, I would say that the main point of this story is that there's a little girl named Mayop. She's 10 years old. She's very innocent in the beginning. She has so much courage. She's so happy, carefree, just has nothing to worry about. The whole point of my story is that if you are so innocent, at some point in life, everything will turn around, and there are always big events that can happen and that can alter how you see life. It can change your perception in the way you behave. Mayop is a sweet little innocent girl, and in this story, we get the chance to see that an event that can demoralize Mayop's mental state.
It seems Mayop is a pretty jolly person, and as an outsider, if you telling me this, I am making an assumption that she may not have been exposed to a life-altering moment before whatever might happen next. Is that true?
Yeah, in the beginning of the story, there is a reoccurring theme that we see that gives off a welcoming aura. With the sun beaming down on Mayop and how the penthouses and pigeons and smokehouses had never seen more beautiful days, this creates a gleeful atmosphere and can psychologically trick the brain into thinking that nothing bad could possibly happen. Themes that tend to be present in the first pages are reality, because everything seems like it's going to be great, nothing bad will happen, except for the fact that a catastrophic event is about to occur.
Alice, would you say that you include any literary devices? Maybe an example would be foreshadowing in your story?
Yeah, for sure. This book ties into foreshadowing because at this point in time, everything seems to be good, to be true, and overly happy. This point in the story, Mayop is down by the river, focusing on how the white bubbles in the river disrupt the soil, and how the water silently rose and slid away down the stream. In this moment, her mind is not connected to reality, but is connected to the physical surroundings around her. As we move through the story, it mentions how Mayop is comfortable with the woods she was about to enter because she explored it many times by herself and with her mother. This can be seen as a sense of comfort to the mind and not leave room for any concerning factors.
Yeah, of course. After reading The Flowers, I felt that there were some reoccurring themes, maybe something such as courage was present in your story. Could you maybe touch a little bit on how you think courage could be present in your story?
Yeah, as I said, she's going to the woods that she's explored many times. This brings a sense of comfort to the mind, which no concerning factors, so this would ultimately bring in the theme courage. Courage is present because she is daring to go into the woods behind her house alone, when anything could happen. Mayop has also taken the risk of going down a new path by herself, vaguely keeping out an eye for snakes. She is then distracted by all the pretty flowers and ferns. She finds strange blue flowers, even without knowing any information. She has the courage to still pick them up, disregarding any consequences that could come with it, bringing her back to her carefree state.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything you just said. Now, tying this back to what we were talking about before, you mentioned at the beginning of the story there was a very welcoming aura, very happy, bright. Now, with everything we just talked about, how do you think that has an effect on the plot now?
Yeah, well, as I said, she had taken a new path, so she's not very familiar with the new surroundings, which did lead to strange feelings. This led to an unpleasant aura in the atmosphere. This can be seen as foreshadowing an unwelcoming event that could about to take place, not knowing the consequences that this event could have on someone. The atmosphere was gloomy, the air was damp, and it seemed like if the silence was close and deep. In this moment, it is now, I would tie this in a connection as man versus nature. She decided to disregard this unpleasant feeling and to circle back through the forest to go home.
Yeah, I'm really glad as a reader of this story that we share such a connection to how we view it. So far we have only really touched on the rising action of the story. I was hoping now we could touch on the climax and what really makes this story.
Yeah. So, as I said, she was going home, so she went back to her happy, carefree self, going back into the peaceful atmosphere of the morning, disregarding the gloomy feeling that was going on. But that's when it happened. She stepped into the skull of the man's head. She had not known yet what it was, so when she reached down to see and free herself unafraid, she realized what had happened, and she let out a scream. As this is a child who is discovering brutality for the first time and does not know what to do or how to confront it and how to affect them, this is the moment where part of Myop's innocence was stripped away when she discovered that her foot was lodged into a dead man's head. Looking at this, and as a human, seeing the remains of someone who had been deceased can change your state of mind. It can have the haunting effect of reoccurring visuals in your brain, getting flashbacks to the trauma, and the whole point of this was that it can lead to psychological problems concerning mental health issues. I wanted to touch on this because it seems that as children we are so innocent, and I wanted to provide a story that shows life-changing events will alter how you perceive life and how much it can affect one and personal growth.
What do you think personally of the effects this can have on someone?
Yeah, so if I experience what Maya would, and if somebody else did, I think that it can affect the way you behave, it can affect your social skills, it can make you become hyper aware of where you are constantly, paranoid that something like that would happen again, and ultimately have the effect of maybe, I would say, PTSD.
Alright, moving forward, could you describe a visual for this scene?
Yeah, of course. Mayop noticed that his head was beside, detached from his body. The man had worn blue denim overalls. This could be indicating he could have been a farmer. According to previous descriptions throughout the book, this could have been taking place in the 1900s, so he could have been a slave. Mayop also had an interest in the beauty of a flower that was near where she had stepped, a pink rose. So I take this as even where death and darkness followed, she was still able to find beauty and light around it. This is a good representation, once again, of her character, how no matter what had happened, she still had courage to go on and have a carefree mental state.
In the story, do we know how the man died?
So, although beside the rose was the remains of a noose, another peach was attached to the branch of a big oak tree, flowing in the wind. Now, as the reader, this leads to the question of how the man died. Could he have been murdered because his head was severed from his body, or did he commit suicide trying to escape from something? So, ultimately, at the end of the story, the question is never answered, and it just leads the open imagination of the reader to imagine what could have happened. So at the end of the story, Maya laid down her flowers and the summer was over.
So at the beginning of the story, there's a beautiful, happy, summer feeling type of aura, and now we've very quickly gotten to a dark, gloomy, and twisted ending. Can you maybe touch on that?
Yeah. So the point of that was we can see how fast reality can hit you in the face with something life-changing. How life comes with twists and turns. Experiencing something like Myop did can affect the mind in a dark way.
Can you tie this into how this can affect Myop?
Yeah, for sure. In Myop's case, maybe every time she sees flowers or a pink rose, she will think of the dead man she had discovered while she was out looking for plants to take home. When she goes to explore the forest in the future, she might have visuals of his body, anxiety of something like this happening again. Anything she had done previously to discovering the man's body could now lead to her brain connecting it back. For an example, the song she was singing, while exploring, then stepping into his skull. How she decided to try something new, go on a different path than she usually did, this can affect her psychologically. Trick her brain into thinking that trying new things leads to trauma and unwelcoming experiences.
Would you agree that this can be connected to man versus self?
For sure. In this moment, she would be fighting with herself on what is right and wrong, what is real, what is not. If she had visions of his face, the sly grin that was plastered on his face like he was taunting her, she would have to fight herself and think about what is true. Although, this does have the chance to develop Myop's character in either a positive or a negative way, because having exposure to different realities in life can help someone grow as a person.
Alright, and to end this off, I would really love to know, as a journalist and as a reader, what you think, as the author, the main message of the story is.
Yeah, the main message of the story would be that life has all sorts of twists and turns. Life can be happy and great at one point, but with life comes brutality and darkness. Life has curveballs, and they can affect you greatly, whether it's psychological or physical. The honest truth of life is presented in this story, because we all start off as innocent kids, but as life goes on, it rips at you and changes you, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you respond to situations.
Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Alice Walker about her new short story, The Flowers, as much as I did. If you are interested, the link to the book is down below. Thank you for watching! Alright, sorry.
Right. Factors of I need to stop talking because I'm going on a rampage and I don't know what I'm talking about.
And unfortunately, can you stop? I can see you. Okay.
He's hot.
And unfortunately... Unfortunately, that is all we have time for.